We have with us Pavitra Shankar, the MD at Brigade Enterprises, joining in on the show right now. Pavitra, hi, morning. Great to have you on ET now. Pavitra, given that the hospitality sector is currently in a very, very good shape and in a boom phase, we believe that you are also in talks with PE funds to take on board a strategic and funding partner for your commercial and hotel assets. Is that true?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. The hotel sector is certainly doing well, finally. It was a very tough time for all of us during the pandemic and following that. Resorts have been doing well, but business hotels are actually doing much better now that travel has come back both domestically and quite a lot internationally. Prior to COVID, we actually had come to an agreement with a private equity firm to come on to our hotel portfolio as a strategic partner to help us grow the portfolio. But that sort of happened in February of 2020, so that did not materialize. Um, I think we are constantly approached by private equity funds or others who are looking to invest into the real estate sector, whether it is hospitality or office or retail, because we do have a quality portfolio in all of those assets. So we're always open to having those discussions, but of course, it's about the valuation being right and factoring in the growth that we expect for the hotel sector in the quarters and years to come.
How much funds are you looking to raise, though?
Yeah, we're certainly open to it. We would like to grow the hotel portfolio, but at the same time, we'd like to have somebody with us on board to give us some kind of financial support so that we can scale up our portfolio.
What is your funding requirement, Pavitra?
Sorry?
What's the funding requirement? I mean, how much
Well,
capex have you outlined given the vision that you have for both commercial as well as your hotel business?
so on the hotel business, we have 8 operating hotels. We are not looking to expand dramatically with capex unless we do have a partner on board. We just have one hotel for which we have a very small 50 crore capex that we need to complete. So in terms of what we're looking for, it would entirely depend on the valuation, and we're open to up to a 50% divestment stake.
To 15 or 50?
50,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so point taken as far as the hospitality business is concerned, but let's shift focus to the commercial portfolio as well, because there are a lot of reports suggesting that there's a lot happening in that section as well. In fact, the latest Anarok report is also talking about how 25 million square feet mall space is likely to be added in the top 7 cities. What kind of trends you are seeing with respect to occupancy and rentals? What kind of increase do you envisage in FY24?
So I think two different things. On the retail side, certainly things are going very well. As far as our operating mall portfolio, we have 3 malls. They're all based in Bangalore. They're all doing well. Our Brigade's outlook for the retail sector is to actually focus on retail as part of our mixed-use developments. And should the opportunity arise to really, if we find a great land parcel in our core markets, which are Bangalore, Chennai, or Hyderabad, then we'd be willing to look at developing a good size mall. But in terms of an overall nationwide retail strategy, we are not looking for that. So I think retail is a very local play. It's very much about your catchment area and the kind of experience you can give to consumers. So that's our outlook on the retail sector. I think consumption has come back to pre-COVID levels. All of that is doing extremely well. On the office side, we do have an 8.5 million square feet operating portfolio. We are building out another 1.5 million square feet office development and have a few others underway. So on that front as well, we are quite positive about the leasing momentum, although it can be a little challenging depending on the outlook for the US economy and hiring in the IT sector, since we are predominantly in Bangalore and Chennai, our office spaces. So we're looking at how that sector will shape up. But that said, we're confident since our developments are generally fairly niche, high design, high on the design factor, and we are quite confident we'll be able to lease out our portfolio.
Okay, let's talk about the residential business as well. Could you talk to us about what's the launch pipeline looking like, and any targets you have in mind for FY24? What kind of pre-sales, etc., could be there?
Yeah, so residential is doing really well. We are in the markets, again, as I mentioned, of Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad. And the response to all of our developments, whether it is under construction or new launches, has been fantastic. So far in this financial year, I would say up to Q3 FY23, we launched 2.5 million square feet, and we are launching a little over 2.5 million square feet in this last quarter, Q4. And I'm happy to say the response on the ground has been excellent, both in terms of plotted as well as apartment communities that we are developing out there. In terms of FY24, we don't really give guidance, but typically we like to see a 20% increase year over year in terms of the numbers that we're doing. Of course, this sector and in general, the real estate sector, it's not that easy to give a smooth sort of prediction year over year. It depends on launches, approvals, and all of that. But we know that once our products come to market, we're able to show excellent traction, not just in terms of numbers sold, but also in terms of price realization and driving up prices.
Right. When we just look at both consumption, real estate consumption and hospitality trend, you think both are at a high? I was reading somewhere that DLF has launched one big property and it just got sold in a couple of days. So do you think that both demand, at least on the demand side, both the industry and the right space?
Definitely for hospitality, as I mentioned earlier, it's coming off, historical lows. I think people are out there traveling, experiencing the benefit of being back and doing in-person meetings or travel, whatever the case may be. So I think there's still a lot of room on the business hotel front. Resort, it's been doing extremely well for the last few years, 2 to 3 years. I think it still will do well, but in terms of rapid growth, the same way that we've seen over the last few years, it may not be there. On the residential sector, I think again it is sort of structural growth because the sector has come off quite a long period, say 2015 to at least the post the first lockdown was a very tough time for the residential sector overall. Generally, there wasn't much price growth at all. There was a lot of consolidation among players in this sector since there were major challenges. RERA had come in, we had demonetization, GST changes. We lost the input tax credit for the sector, which was a huge, disruption. And there was an NBFC crisis. So in general, that led to a lot of consolidation and supply just going away. So now when launches come back, customers also see that pricing is increasing. They've sort of been, expecting prices to fall over the majority of the last decade. So now when they see prices increase, the demand is really back in that sense. And people who are holding off their decisions for a long time think it is a great time to buy. And those developers that are putting out supply are the ones who have established, their financial stability, their ability to deliver quality and on time. So I think in general, it is a good time for the resi sector, and it should continue to do the same. At least, we have an outlook of say 12 to 18 months, and we're quite confident of it being a good time. Beyond that, I still think the sector has a lot of room to grow given where our country and economy is heading. But hard to predict beyond a year and a half.
Sure, and Pavitra, just before we let you go, let's come back to the point regarding the, part stake sale of your hospitality segment. What's the timeline on that? And if you can tell us at what stage are those conversations of, maybe selling out 50% stake that you pointed out?
Quite honestly, they're fairly early stage. We haven't really we believe that there is a lot more room for our hospitality portfolio to grow. The valuations would have to obviously be based on forward-looking multiples because that's kind of the growth that we expect in the sector. So we're open to conversations and we'll take it from there. It's quite early in the overall scenario though.
Right. Pavitra, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining in today.
Thanks a lot.